And are we ready?
Yes.
All right, they're lined up.
Yes.
Parties, are you all ready?
Daniel just stepped out, Judge. Sorry. You want to go grab him?
Yes.
I'm gonna go grab him. We're good, Judge. I can.
All right, let's bring them in.
All right, for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, state, call your next witness.
State calls Pablo Arriaga, Your Honor.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up for members of the jury and for the court reporter. If you'll state your name for the record.
Pablo Arriaga.
All right, state.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Arriaga, what do you do for a living?
I am employed with the San Antonio Police Department,
And how long have you worked there?
30 years.
And what are your job duties with the SAPD?
Currently, I'm assigned to the crime scene unit and the family violence unit.
And so when you do the crime scene unit work, how long have you been doing crime scene work?
I went to the crime scene unit back in 2011.
And what are your job duties in the crime scene unit?
The job duties are preservation, documentation, record evidence of crime scenes.
Okay, and were you working on February 2022?
Yes, sir.
Were you called out to the scene of a shooting that day?
Yes, I was.
And what were your duties on that in that case?
My duties in that case was to, I was the first assigned CSI to that case that came out. My first function was to, or first duty was to locate the crime scene. And you want me to explain what that is?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
When we go to a crime scene, it's our responsibility to figure out the dimensions. How big is it? How small is it? And I'm sure y'all seen the yellow tape. We start taping it off. Try to preserve the general area of a crime scene.
And when you got there, was crime scene tape already up?
It was being handled by some of the officers, but I assisted in locating the boundaries of the crime scene.
Okay. And big crime scene, small crime scene, what were the boundaries generally?
It was a big crime scene. It was approximately, if I had to put it in dimensions, it was half a block long.
And what did you see when you first got there? What could kind of paint the picture for the jury, what you saw?
When I first got there, there was a lot of movement, a lot of officers walking around, a lot of EMS, a lot of firemen. When I first got there, one of the officers told me that there was a there was one hit, there was one body on the ground. I had one of the officers pointed out to me that we put a yellow blanket on top of it. I was still telling officers, secure this area, make sure nobody comes in. I started seeing shell casings on the floor, on the ground. And about a few minutes later, another officer told me that they found another person who was shot inside a house, an elderly man. So I extended the crime scene to that area of the house. I went inside and I saw EMS working on an elderly man, we're just working on him. I was there for approximately a minute and I got out of the house. There was EMS were in there doing the best they can. There was also a doctor riding with them who was helping him. Went back outside and immediately started looking for other boundaries. I started noticing there were other shell casings and there were bullet holes there were bullet holes in the house. Had officers stand by, secure that area, keep witnesses, keep people away from it, not so that it doesn't contaminate or touch evidence. I continued walking the crime scene and expanding it. Every time I would find crime, I find evidence, I expand the scene a little bit more. Then I walked over to the opposite side of the street. There was a little convenience store. Noticed more shell casings, more bullet fragments, more holes on the store. So I extended the crime scene around that area. Once I felt the crime scene was pretty much intact, I called for more CSI investigators to come and help me out because it was quite a bit.
And so when you find an item of evidence, what's the first step when you find an item of evidence?
I label each item of evidence with a marker, a yellow marker. And if I have enough officers, enough people there, I have them stand by, make sure nobody tampers with it or touches it.
And so you're not, if you see, for example, like a shell casing on the ground, you don't just walk up and pick it up immediately, right?
No, you do not.
You put an evidence marker by it, and what's the purpose of that?
It's to, every piece of evidence tells a story. So if it's at a certain location, you want to mark it so you don't miss it. Really, the markers are so others who are in there see it and don't destroy it, step on it.
And did you take photos when you were out there?
Yes, it did.
And so was the first step to take the photos, or do you mark evidence and then take photos?
The first step is to mark evidence, even if it's just with a piece of paper, put it on there. So that way I can see it and others can see it so they don't tamper with it. Once the scene is pretty much under control, then we go back and put numbered markers on there. Yellow number markers have 1 through, it can be numerous numbers.
Okay, I've got some photos here, and I'm just gonna mark them. You'll give me a moment. Showing you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 9. Do you recognize this?
Yes,
What is this?
this is a photo I took of one of the individuals that was in custody that day.
And you took this photo,
Yes,
and is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw out there that day?
yes.
Okay, I'm showing you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 10. What are we looking at here?
This is a general photo of the scene, and that is the body on the ground covered with the yellow blanket.
And I'm going to show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 11. What is that?
This is the green Suburban that was parked out there and it had several bullet holes on it.
And State's Exhibit 12, what's in that photo?
This is a photo of a shell casing that was found on the street.
Okay, and for all these photos, State's Exhibit 9 through 12, did you take all these?
Yes,
And do they fairly and accurately depict the objects as they appeared on that day?
yes, sir.
Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Your Honor, we have no objection to State's Exhibit number 9 through 12.
All right, States Exhibit 9, 10, 11, and 12 are admitted without objection.
Mr. Adiaga, on State's Exhibit 12, can you tell the jury what is this? What is this right here? What does this signify?
It's a yellow evidence marker, number 8.
And so when you're talking about an evidence marker, this is you would put a flag like this next to anything that you thought might have evidentiary value, is that right?
That's correct.
And in States Exhibit 10, what are we looking at here?
That is a general layout, a general photo of the scene. As you can see, the yellow blanket is where the where the deceased is laying at, with the blanket covered over him, and other spent shell casings on the street. And then the green Suburban to the left is the one that was riddled with bullet holes.
And at this point, we can see that there's crime scene tape up. Does that mean everybody on your side of the tape is law enforcement or EMS, somebody related to the case?
Yes.
What are we looking at in States Exhibit 11?
This is the Suburban that was, had the bullet holes on it.
And so you took photos of the outside of the vehicle?
Yes.
And then can you tell me, what am I looking at in States Exhibit 13?
This is the house where, it was across the street from the Suburban where the elderly man was, struck by a stray bullet.
And what are we looking at in States Exhibit 14?
This is the passenger side of the Suburban that was also riddled with bullet holes.
And what is States Exhibit 15?
This is the driver's side of the Suburban that was, riddled with bullet holes.
And can you tell me what is States Exhibit 16?
When I was inside the house where the elderly man was shot, I noticed a bullet hole in the wall. And this is the where the projectile, the bullet went through and hit the inside of the house.
And can you tell me what is in States Exhibit 17?
17 is also the Suburban that had the driver's side of the Suburban that had all the bullet holes in it.
Can you tell me what do we see in States Exhibit 18?
This is evidence marker 2 and 3, which showed spent shell casings on the street, on the ground.
And can you tell me what is in States Exhibit 19?
This is evidence number 11. It's a trash can, and inside this trash can, the officers on the scene told me that there were firearms that were inside of it.
And can you tell me what do we see in States Exhibit 20?
This is the passenger side of that Suburban. The windows are shattered, blown out from apparent gunshot.
And did you take all these photos?
Yes,
And do they fairly and accurately depict the objects as they were on that day?
yes.
Your Honor, I offer States Exhibit 14 through 20.
Right, you're not offering 13?
Yeah, it's here.
I'm sorry, Judge, I got them out of order. I offer States Exhibit 13 through 20, Judge.
We got just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, we have no objections to States Exhibits 13 through 20.
Right, States Exhibit 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 are admitted without objection.
Can I publish these, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay, so this is States Exhibit 13. Can you tell the jury what we're looking at in States Exhibit 13?
Yes, this is the house directly across where that Suburban was parked at.
And what was inside the house?
Inside that house, some of the bullets hit that house, went through the wall, and inside the house was an 80-year-old man who was hit by one of those bullets.
And can you tell us what we're looking at in States Exhibit 16?
Yes, that is also from inside the house where the bullets penetrated the walls.
And is that right here, the bullet defect?
Yes,
Can you tell us what we're looking at in States Exhibit 19?
number 11 is a trash can.
I'm sorry, my handwriting is not very good. This is the 19.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
It's-
sorry.
It shows, yes, the 11 were the firearms that were found inside that trash can.
So for purposes of the record, I'm sorry, this is, the photo is States Exhibit 19. And what is number 11 in this photo?
It is the blue trash can.
Okay, and so this evidence marker here, you're marking that, hey, there's evidence within this trash.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us what we're looking at in States Exhibit 20?
That is the passenger side of the Suburban. And as you can see, there's bullet holes on the back left side. The glass, the windows are shattered from apparent bullet holes. And directly on the other side of that is the house where they got hit by bullets, where that elderly person was also struck.
And can you tell the jury, what are we looking at in States Exhibit 17?
This is the driver's side of that Suburban.
And can you tell us what's in States Exhibit 15?
Once again, this is the driver's side of that Suburban.
And States Exhibit 14?
The back side of the passenger side of the Suburban.
And you were out there, how many photos did you take in total on that day?
Over 470.
And is that typical for this kind of case?
It's typical when it's an offense of this size. Yes, that's very common.
So once you took the photos, you'd already marked where the evidence was with those placards. What was your next step? Did you perform any testing that day?
Yes,
And what sort of forensic testing did you perform that day?
I performed one test. It's called a gunshot residue test, and I did that on the victim that was laying on the ground, the younger kid. And it's the gunshot residue test. I did it on his hands while the medical examiner was reviewing the body.
I'm showing you what I just marked as States Exhibit 21.
Yes, sir.
What, can you tell the jury, what is that?
This is the gunshot residue test that we conduct on the hands of suspects who are suspected of shooting a gun.
And can you tell us what's inside the envelope?
Inside are 2 vials. There's 2 vials. One is marked with right hand and the other one is marked with left hand. And there's a magnetic piece underneath each top, and that is rubbed on the hand around the area where you would normally grab something. And it is left hand and then right hand. Then they're sealed, put back together, put in the envelope, and take it to the property room.
And you collected that evidence?
Yes,
And who did you collect that from?
from the deceased.
And is his name written on this here?
Yes, it is.
And what is the name?
Christopher Mejia, 9/6 of 2007.
Your Honor, I offer States Exhibit 21 and the contents of evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, States Exhibit number 21 and contents is admitted without objection.
So so first you helped secure the scene.
Yes,
And then you marked the evidence,
yes,
then you took photos,
yes.
you did this gunshot residue test.
Yes.
What did you do next?
During the course of everything, the next step is to look for more evidence on the suspects to see if there's any blood on their clothing, on their skin, anything that could be evidence. And each one of them had apparent blood on their body. So my next step was to do cotton swabs, where you just swab the blood off their arms, wherever you see it, you just take a swab of this evidence, blood.
And what's the purpose of that?
It's sent to the lab to see whose blood it is, who it belongs to, for DNA testing.
And did you have an opportunity to search a house as part of your duties that day?
Yes,
And did you recover any evidence inside that house?
yes,
This is the evidence from that day, right?
yes. Yes.
'22. Showing you an envelope that I've just marked as States Exhibit 22. Can you tell me what's inside there?
This is a magazine with 7 live rounds of 40 Smith and Wesson bullets. Here's a clip. These are the rounds that were inside of it. They're 40 Smith and Wesson.
And there's how many of them?
There are 7.
Okay.
All right, State's Exhibit number 22, has that been admitted into evidence?
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge.
All right.
Sorry about that. So go ahead and put those. Your Honor, I offer States Exhibit 22 and the contents.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit 22 is it, and contents are admitted without objection.
Okay. Where did you recover these?
These were found inside a bedroom of the house directly in front of the where the Suburban was at.
And when you what I've just marked as States Exhibit 23, if you could take a look in that envelope, but don't show the jury yet. Tell me what's in.
There is a firearm with a magazine and live rounds.
And did you recover this?
Yes,
And where did you recover that?
inside the house, directly in front of where that Suburban was at.
Your Honor, I offer States Exhibit 23 and the contents.
Judge, no objection to State's Exhibit 23 and contents.
All right, State's Exhibit number 23 and contents are admitted without objection.
So can you tell us, can you pull that out and show it to the jury?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Deputy Laura. It's a firearm. It's been made safe.
Just to get a second opinion that it is made safe. Made safe or it's clip. This is the firearm that was found inside that bedroom. It's
Like,
been made
you may
safe.
step down. If you need to step down
Okay.
for the jury, you may step down. And defense, you may move about the well.
Thank you, Judge.
This is the firearm that was found inside the house, inside the bedroom. It's been made safe. It's clear. There's no bullets in it. It is a 40.
Be sure to keep your voice up so the court reporter can hear.
Wait, do you have a mag? Was there anything
Yes,
else?
there was a magazine inside it. I took that out. This is the magazine that was inside the gun. Magazine. And it also has some live rounds in it. It had 6 live rounds inside that clip. And it also had spent shell casings. Go ahead. Just let her from here.
And so before you collected that, did you take photos of it?
Yes.
So you took photos of those two items, the gun and the magazine, before you collected it, right?
Yes.
And what's the purpose of that?
To document where they were found.
And so can you tell us, what are we looking at in State's Exhibit 23?
This is the firearm that I just displayed. It is inside the bedroom of the house that was directly in front of the Suburban.
Your Honor, I offer, oh, I'm sorry, did you take this photo?
Yes.
Does it fairly and accurately display the objects as you found them that day?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 23.
No.
Is that 23 or 24?
Firearms 23.
Oh, no, we didn't mark that. All right. Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 24.
Can I take the witness briefly on board our
Yes.
Detective Ariaga? State's Exhibit 24, this photo is a photo of State's Exhibit number 23, correct?
Yes.
And that was collected from where?
Inside a bedroom. Do I just say the address of the house?
Sure.
823 West Mariposa Street, inside the back bedroom.
Okay. Do you know whose house that is?
After, yes, I do.
Okay. And this is based on your investigation and work with other
Yes.
detectives, correct?
Yes, sir.
So whose home is 823 West Mariposa?
That is the home of the other individual that was involved in the shooting.
Do you know that person's name?
No, I don't.
Okay. But this was a person who was involved in the shooting as well.
Yes.
Okay. If I say the name Jerry Ortiz, does that mean anything to you?
No.
Thank you, Detective. No objection to State's Exhibit 24, Your Honor.
All right. State's Exhibit number 24 is admitted without objection.
Can I publish this, Your Honor?
Yes.
So you recovered this handgun and the 2 magazines, right?
Yes.
And is that what we're looking at in State's Exhibit 24?
Yes.
Okay. And then, was that all that you did on that date in regards to this case?
Yes.
And then what was your next interaction with this case?
My next interaction was, the Suburban that was at the scene. We towed that to 9th Street Pound. It's a secure location where we tow vehicles that are involved in the crime until we get a warrant to search it. So I had that vehicle taken there until one of our homicide detectives was able to secure a warrant so I can go in and search it for evidence.
Okay, and so what was your first step when you got out there?
When the warrant came back, I first took photos of the Suburban while it was at 9th Street Pound. And took photos all around it, opened up the doors, took more photos of the inside, and then started searching for any evidence that was related to the crime.
And did you do a similar procedure as you did out at the shooting location as far as putting out placards?
Yes, sir.
And you also took some photos that day, right?
Yes, sir.
Got some photos here. I'm just gonna mark them for you. So, Jerry, what is State's Exhibit 26?
This is a photo of alleged marijuana that was found inside the Suburban.
And you took that photo?
Yes.
Can you tell us what is State's Exhibit 27?
This is a photo of the same bag of alleged marijuana that was found inside the Suburban.
And what is State's Exhibit 28?
This is evidence number 7. It's a projectile, a slug bullet.
And what is State's Exhibit 29?
This is also another photo of evidence number 1, which is a baggie of marijuana.
And what is State's Exhibit 30?
It's evidence number 13 is it's an airsoft rifle. Looks like a real rifle. It's a
And
toy.
did you take all these photos?
Yes.
And did they fairly and accurately depict the objects as you saw them that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 27, 28, I'm sorry, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30.
Your Honor, no objection to State's Exhibit 26 through 30.
All right, States Exhibits numbers 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 are admitted without objection.
Your Honor, can I publish these?
Yes.
So can you tell the jury, what are we looking at in State's Exhibit 26?
Right in front of the tennis shoe, you can see there's a plastic bag containing alleged marijuana.
Sorry, I don't know if that's better or worse. Okay. Okay, so you're talking about right here?
Yes.
Okay. Right, and can you tell the jury, what are we looking at in State's Exhibit 27?
It is the same photo without the marker. The plastic bag with the alleged marijuana in it.
Okay, and is 29 just a close-up of that?
Yes,
What are we looking at in State's Exhibit 30?
it is a airsoft rifle. It's a toy,
Okay, and what evidence marker is that?
13.
What are we looking at in State's Exhibit 28?
A projectile, a bullet.
Can you tell us what we're looking at in State's Exhibit 31?
Yes, this is evidence marker number 10. It's also another bag of alleged marijuana.
Okay, and is that different than what we saw in the previous State's Exhibit?
Yes,
Okay. And can you tell me what's in State's Exhibit 32?
yes, this is evidence marker 2, 3, and 4. They are shell casings that are found inside the vehicle on the driver's floorboard.
Can you tell us what's in State's Exhibit 33?
Yes, this is another photo of a different angle of evidence markers 2, 3, 4, and 14, which are spent shell casings on the driver's floorboard.
What about State's Exhibit 34?
Yeah, this is the passenger side of the vehicle taken out there at 9th Street Pound.
What about State's Exhibit 35?
This is also the driver's side of the Suburban. This photo is also taken at 9th Street Pound.
What about State's Exhibit 36?
Yes, this is a photo showing evidence markers 7, 11, 10, 9, and 8. Each one is different. Their evidence marker number 8 is a box of Remington bullets. Number 9 is a cell phone. Number 10 is the alleged marijuana. Number 7 is also another projectile. And number 11 is also another spent shell casing.
And can you tell me what's in State's Exhibit 37?
This is evidence marker number 11 containing 2 spent shell casings.
And did you take all these photos?
Yes, sir.
And they fairly accurately depict the objects as you saw them that day?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'll offer State's Exhibit 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37.
Judge, we have no objection to state's exhibits 31 through 37.
All right, States Exhibits 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37 are admitted without objection.
Your Honor, do I have permission to publish these?
Yes.
So can you tell the jury, what are we looking at in State's Exhibit 35?
This is the Suburban, the driver's side of the Suburban. This photo was taken at 9th Street Pound.
And is 34 the same vehicle?
Yes, the passenger side of the vehicle at 9th Street Pound.
What are we looking at in State's Exhibit 33?
This is the driver's floorboard, evidence markers 2, 3, 4, and 14. They are spent shell casings and bullet slugs.
So I think 14 might be the easiest one to see. Is that
Yes,
That's what we're looking at here. Can you, would you mind stepping down so we can point them out to the jury? So when you find one of these shell casings, you put an evidence marker down like right here, right?
yes,
Okay, and so it's kind of hard to tell from this photo, but these other markers are to indicate there's a shell casing there, right?
yes,
Okay, thank you. And then on State's Exhibit 32, is that a different view of the same area of the car?
yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, see if you'd like.
Yes.
And can you tell us, what are we looking at in State's Exhibit 31?
That is evidence marker number 10. It's also a baggie of marijuana.
Okay, and that's a different, there were two baggies of marijuana, right?
Yes,
We've got State's Exhibit 31 is evidence marker 10. But there was another bag of marijuana, right? So what evidence number was that?
the one where it was in front of the tennis shoe, marker number 1.
So we've got this one in State's Exhibit 29. And then we've got evidence marker 10 in State's Exhibit 31. Is that right?
Yes,
And you collected both of those.
yes,
So after you took the photos, you collected those, right?
yes,
Okay. And you brought that with you today.
yes, sir.
So can you, let's find some of this stuff. Plus, I'll start marking some of the things that you. Okay. Without showing the jury, can you take a look at what I've just marked as State's Exhibit 38 and tell us what's in there?
It's a box containing 9 live rounds of 40 Smith & Wesson ammo.
Okay, and did you collect them?
Yes,
And you collected that at the pound?
yes.
Okay. On our aisle for State's Exhibit 38.
No objection, Your Honor.
State's Exhibit 38 is admitted without objection.
I should say, Your Honor, State's Exhibit 38 is the envelope and the contents.
All right.
No objection.
All right, State's Exhibit 38 and contents are admitted.
You recovered this from the Suburban?
Yes.
All right, could I have parties approach? All right, State, you may continue.
I'm showing you what I've just marked as State's Exhibit 39. tell me what that is, Bexar and the jury?
This is the airsoft rifle that was found inside the Suburban.
Okay, and you collected that?
Yes.
You collected 39, say, I've marked the packaging as 39, but the item itself is item 39. Can you tell the jury, what is item 39A?
It is a airsoft rifle. You want to check out?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, not in, don't show it to the jury yet.
Okay.
But this is the item that you collected from the Suburban?
Yes.
Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 39A.
No objection to 39A, Your Honor.
All right, 39A is admitted without objection.
This is you collected this from the Suburban?
Yes.
I'm showing you what I've just marked as State's Exhibit 40 and the contents. Can you tell me what's inside that envelope?
It's a spent showcasing of a 380 auto.
And did you collect that?
Yes.
Go ahead and just put that back. I'm showing you an envelope that I've marked as State's Exhibit 41. Can you tell me what that is?
This is also a small spent showcasing.
And did you collect that?
Yes.
Can you tell me what's State's Exhibit 42? What is that?
This is also a spent showcasing 40 Smith & Wesson.
And did you collect that from that Suburban?
Yes.
I'm showing you what I just marked as State's Exhibit 43. What is that?
This is also another spent showcasing 40 Smith & Wesson.
Okay, and did you collect that from the Suburban that day?
Yes.
Can you tell me what is State's Exhibit 44?
This is also another spent showcasing. This is a also found in Suburban. It's a 40 Smith & Wesson.
Can you tell me what is State's Exhibit 45?
This is also another spent showcasing 40 Smith & Wesson found inside the Suburban.
What is 46?
46 is also another spent showcasing. This one is a 40 Smith & Wesson.
Can you tell me what it's inside? I've just marked it as State's Exhibit 47.
This is also another spent showcasing 40 Smith & Wesson.
So did you collect all of these showcases?
Yes,
And where did you collect them from?
inside the Suburban.
Your Honor, I offer, States Exhibit 40 through 47 and their contents, Your Honor.
Oh, goodness. There's no objection to states exhibits 40 through 47? 47, yes.
All right, States Exhibit 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, and 47 are admitted without objection.
So, Mr. Artie, I'll get, I don't want to open all these. Is the shell casing, are they all shaped relatively the same, similarly?
Yes.
Could you open States Exhibit 44, and since you got the gloves on, it's already open.
Yes.
Could you show the jury, what does the shell casing look like? And what's the caliber of States Exhibit 44?
It's a 40 Smith and Wesson.
Okay. Thank you. Could you package that back up for me? There was the shell casing, that's a 40 Smith and Wesson, is that about the same shape as the shell casing for a 380?
It'll be off a little, but they do look similar.
Okay. So similar shape, but
Different
what's the difference?
in size.
Okay. Could you, this is States Exhibit 40. And could you reach in there since you got the gloves on and show the jury the size difference there? Okay, so which one's bigger?
The 40 is bigger,
Okay,
and they're the same size. Been shell casing, no bullet.
okay, thank you. Could you package that back up? Okay, and then once you collected the evidence, so you took the photos that while you're out there, you collected the evidence. What do you do with the evidence once you collect it?
Once I collected, I package each item individually, and then I put everything inside the SAPD property room.
And while you were out there at the pound, did you attempt to get fingerprints or anything?
On the vehicle, yes.
And what was the result of your search for fingerprints?
I searched the exterior of the fingerprints, but that Suburban had so much dust and dirt on it, I could not get any off of it. Inside the vehicle, it has to be, there's a misconception, in order to get fingerprints, it has to be a smooth surface, like glass, a bottle. Can't get it off rocks or stones or anything with texture. If it has texture, you're not able to get a fingerprint off of it. You can get DNA, but not a fingerprint. The exterior of the Suburban was, it was dirty. There was no way of getting a print off of it.
So it's gotta be a relatively clean surface to get a print in a wall.
Yes,
And so were you able to get any prints?
no,
What did you do in the case after that? Was that the last thing you did on the case?
that was it.
I passed the witness, Your Honor.
Defense?
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Ariagi, looking at State's Exhibit number 31 here in this picture. This bag of apparent marijuana, where was that found? In the green Suburban?
Where inside the Suburban? I'd have to look at the photos, sir, to tell you exactly where.
Thinking of State's Exhibit number 29. How about this bag of marijuana with the shoes? Do you remember where that was recovered?
I would have to look at the photos, sir.
Detective, looking at State's Exhibit number 14. Sorry. There we go. State Exhibit 14, this is the blue recycle bin, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there were handguns or firearms inside of it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you collect those firearms?
No, sir.
Okay. But somebody else did.
Yes.
Looking at the state's exhibit number 10. There we go. Use my pen here. So this is a yellow sheet covering the body of Christopher Mejia, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the convenience store.
Yes, sir.
This is the green dumpster.
Yes, sir.
Directly across the street here, you see my pen flow, is the home of Enrique Bocanegra, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there, based, what you remember, was there any, it was a direct shot from this area here directly across the street to Mr. Bocanegra's house
Yes.
versus being at a slight angle or anything?
It could be an angle, sir. It's just directly across.
Okay. I want to talk about State's Exhibit number 33. This is the front passenger, I'm sorry, the front driver's side. And there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4 shell casings, correct?
Yes, sir.
They were all 40 caliber Smith and Wesson shell casings, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For those on the jury, for their benefit, when you have a 40 caliber shell casing, I mean, a shell casing holds the gunpowder that eventually, when a gun is fired, it ignites and moves the bullet up and out of the chamber, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's left over is the shell casing, correct?
Yes, sir.
So generally, the shell casings are within the immediate area where they were fired.
It really depends on, yes, where. If you're inside a vehicle, of course, they're going to be inside the vehicle. If you're outside a vehicle, they can shoot 5, 10, any direction. But
Sure. They can
relatively-
bounce, they can
yes,
move
yes,
around.
Yes.
Fair enough. You would not expect that these 4 shell casings were fired from 30, 40 feet away. That would be unreasonable, correct?
Correct.
Right. I mean, these are in the general area, and when you have a vehicle like this, you're kind of suspecting that's where they were fired, in that general area,
Yes.
either inside the Suburban or just outside the Suburban, depending on circumstances.
Yes.
Okay. Did you find any shell casings on the front passenger side of the green Suburban?
I would have to look at my photos, sir.
Yeah, or does your report reflect that as well?
It should, yes.
Okay, do we have a copy of the report? Yes. Oh, Detective, yeah, I'm showing you what we marked as defense exhibit number 3. See if you recognize that document.
Yes, sir. This is the report I wrote.
Yeah. Is that the same report you have there, or something slightly different?
Well, there's 2 different ones. One I wrote at the scene and one I wrote a couple of days later at 9th Street Pound. This is the one from the scene.
From the scene?
Yes.
Is this one the same thing as the scene?
The scene, the difference you can tell, I took 460 photos at the scene. And the vehicle, when I took it at 9th Street Pound, had 87 photos.
Okay, fair enough.
These are 2 different.
Looking at your report, to refresh your memory,
Yes, sir.
can you tell me if there were any shell casings found on the passenger side of the front of the green Suburban?
Yes, sir. inside the rear pocket. You want me to read this to you?
Refresh your memory from it and then see if you
Okay.
can answer my question. You were saying something about a rear pocket? Tell us about
Yes.
that.
Yeah, the front passenger seat, there's a pocket, I would have to look at the photo to explain it to you, but there was one found inside a pocket on the front passenger seat. And that was, one that was found on the front passenger seat.
What caliber bullet was it?
That one was a. It was E8, 9, 10, and 11. Those were 8, 9, 10, 11, those were one was a 40 Smith and Wesson. And yeah, 11A and 11B were both a 40 Smith and Wesson and a 380 auto. Two different ones.
Two different shell cases?
Yes, sir.
And they were in the pocket?
Yes, it would be in the photos if we could look at that.
With all the photos that you took. It's a little hard to find so quickly.
500 photos, yes.
That's fine, sir. I got a few other questions for you. Let's talk a little bit about State's Exhibit. $39A. This is a toy, correct?
Yes,
Is it a pellet gun, BB gun?
it is an air rifle. It's soft pellets, hard pellets, small BBs.
Okay. And there's a place for a clip here. Did you ever find a clip?
I don't believe there was one for that one.
Okay. And this is recovered from where in the Suburban?
In the back of the Suburban,
Very back,
yes.
back seat or very
The,
back?
the back compartment,
Back compartment, okay. Was this, did you try to fingerprint this item?
no.
Okay, why is that?
It was a toy. When I saw it, I thought it was real. I just collected it because it looked real, but I did not fingerprint it.
Well, at that time, did anybody ask you to fingerprint that item?
No,
The DA's office ever asked you to go to the property room and fingerprint that item?
no.
The delay. I want to show you State's Exhibit number 17. All right, so in State's Exhibit 17, behind the green Suburban is a home, I believe it's, which is 823 West 94th, is that correct?
That one directly on the other side, I don't know the address of that one.
And we're talking about the home that you recovered the 40 caliber Smith and Wesson.
I believe it's to the left of that house, if I'm not mistaken.
That'd be right. We'll find out. Regardless of that, this weapon was not recovered from the Suburban, correct?
That is correct.
And was not recovered from the blue recycle bin either.
That is correct.
Okay, it was recovered from a home that's either the first, that home or the home right next to it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was done pursuant to a search warrant, correct?
Correct.
And that involved another suspect, their home, correct?
Correct.
What items did you attempt to fingerprint? Just the green Suburban itself?
Yes.
Okay. And the other firearms that were recovered eventually from that blue recycle bin, were you asked to look at those firearms and fingerprint them at all?
No.
That was somebody
That
else.
was another CSI.
And on the gunshot residue test that you performed on Christopher Mejia, the deceased, who's lying there near the green garbage.
Mhm.
I can't think of the word for it.
The dumpster?
Dumpster, my goodness, green dumpster. You performed that test on, you have a lot of experience doing GSR tests, correct?
That is correct.
It's not like the first time you've ever done it.
It was not.
Okay. And just so we're sure, you did the GSR test on both hands and maybe both arms
On the hand, sir.
on the hands?
Yes.
Okay. And why is it that you do it on the hands?
Firearms are shot using your hands, so the firearm sits this way. This is the ejector port where the gunpowder blows back. When it is firing, that gunpowder pretty much covers this area of the hand. Right hand, left hand, it's the same thing. Gunpowder, it can go further back into the forearms. Majority is going to be in the concentration area where the ejector port is at. If that makes sense. Yeah.
It's a good explanation. Thank you. I think you also recovered a cell phone from Juan Mejia. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
And a cell phone from Oscar Martinez?
Yes, sir.
Any other cell phones? I don't think so.
I don't believe there was more than that.
And you also collected two, I'm gonna say black sandals with apparent blood on them?
Yes. With the parent blood on them?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And those sandals supposedly belong to Jeremy Martinez, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Detective. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Pass the witness.
How many photos did you take between when you initially responded to the scene and then when you went back and searched the Suburban?
Approximately 540.
And I'm showing you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 48. Can you tell us what is that?
Yes, this is a CD of the photos that I took.
Okay, and these are the photos that you took on the day of the shooting and also when you went back and searched the Suburban on March 1st, 2022, right?
That's correct.
So you took the photos that are on the CD, right?
Yes.
Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 48.
Judge, at this point, I'm going to object to State's Exhibit 48.
All right, everyone just have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. And we'll be back at 3:15. Remember my previous instructions, you're not allowed to start internally discussing things with yourself or with each other. Everything that you need to know about this case is to come from inside this courtroom only, and you're not allowed to begin deliberations until I give you permission. Does everyone understand?
Yeah.
All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors. Everyone, please be seated. This to give the court reporter some time to get together things unless you're all going to continue to have the items sitting there. And then after we do that, defense, I'll hear your objections.
Okay.
And is there anything I need to see on that DVD?
It's just all the photos you took, Judge. I assume the objections.
I don't know what's on here.
All right, let's look and see what's on there.
Okay.
and then we'll go from there.
And on March 1st, 2023, how many photos did you take?
87.
Okay, and so did you take 548 photos that day?
Yes,
And those photos are on State's Exhibit 48, right?
yes.
And when you search the Suburban on March 1st, 2022 at the impound lot, I've got up on the screen here, I've got State's Exhibit 26. And so can you remind the jury, what's evidence marker 1? What's this here?
The bag of marijuana
Yes, sir. And where did you find that?
inside the Suburban.
Yes, sir. And where inside the Suburban? If you need to refer to the report, that's okay.
Well, the reason why I take so much photos, I get to see you explain that way, is I take long range, medium, and close-ups so I can refresh my memory. If I can look at those 87 photos, we can all get an idea of where it was found. Through the larger version, you can see exactly where it's at. Over 500 photos, to detail report with that many photos, it'd be a book. So visually, looking at a photo, it kind of gives you a better idea of what's going on, where it's at.
Sure. So, but you did a general details section on the March 1st report, right?
Yes.
Okay, and if you take a look at the second page there,
Yes, sir.
you take a look, what does it say? If you can refresh your memory about where you found E1.
Yes. The first, this one here was on the front passenger floorboard.
Okay, so this marijuana here, E1, was on the front passenger floorboard.
Yes.
I pass the witness, Judge.
Right.
No further questions, Judge.
All right, you may step down.
Yes, ma'am.
And have you all done the exchange with the court reporter?
Yes, all the evidence. Yes, I did. Here's the slip.
All right, state, call your next witness.
State calls Leslie Shapey, Your Honor.
Hello, if you could raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can have a seat. And just remember to keep your voice up so members of the jury and the court reporter can hear.
Yes.
And if you'll state your name for the record.
My name is Leslie Chapey. It is spelled Leslie. Last name is Tschoepe.
All right, state.
Good afternoon, Ms. Shapey. Where do you work?
I am currently employed at the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office
And how long have you been working there?
since April 1st of this year.
And what do you do there?
I am a senior forensic chemist in the chemistry section.
And so what are your duties there?
I analyze unknown substances, to identify if a controlled substance is present or not.
And where were you previously employed?
For 5 years, I worked at the Bexar County Criminal Investigation Laboratory in the chemistry section as a forensic scientist.
And what kind of testing were you doing at the Bexar County Crime Lab?
I performed analysis in both seized drugs as well as primer gunshot residue analysis.
And did you go to school for that?
Yes, I did.
And where did you go for to get your training in that?
I got my undergraduate degree in chemistry with a minor in forensic science from Baylor University and a master's of science in forensic science from Sam Houston State University.
Are you do you have any kind of licensing, or did you at the time you did this testing related to this case? Did you have any licensing related to that?
Yes, at the time of analysis, I was licensed by the Texas Forensic Science Commission in both seized drugs as well as trace materials. I'm currently only licensed in seized drugs.
And why is that?
My new employment, they do not provide primer gunshot residue analysis, so there was no way for me to stay proficient.
And so in regards to this case, can you tell the jury what is GSR and how is that formed?
Yes, GSR, primer gunshot residue, is formed. Can I use a demonstrative aid?
Yes, please.
So when the trigger gets pulled, the firing pin will contact and come into contact with the primer cap, which is the silver part right here on the aid. This primer cap contains shock sensitive chemicals, and so upon that impact, it causes an explosion. And that explosion is what causes the buildup of pressure and gas, which help propel the bullet down the barrel of the gun. But what I'm focused on is what's inside of this primer cap. So upon that explosion, the metals that are contained in that primer cap get vaporized. And those vaporized metals will then escape from the weapon in any hole that's possible, such as the end of the barrel or the ejector port, or even like a non-gas tight area. And so they will escape from the weapon or the firearm, and they will then cool and condense and form particles. And these particles then can land on any surface around. It can land on hands, clothing, or any kind of surface around. A good example I like to use to kind of describe what this kind of looks like is when LeBron James throws the chalk up in the air before a game. And you watch how the chalk will slowly fall and land on different surfaces around the vicinity. It will have different forces act upon it and won't just immediately fall. And GSR is very similar. So what I'm looking for is particles that contain any combination of lead, barium, or antimony.
And what does that indicate to you if you find that?
When there's a presence of particles that contain any combination of lead, barium, or antimony, it means there are different possibilities that someone discharged a firearm, handled a discharged firearm, or was in close proximity to a discharging firearm.
So as part of did you perform any work in relation to this case?
Yes, I did.
And how many kits did you test in this case?
May I refer to my notes?
Yes, please.
In this case, there were 5 kits submitted.
And did you did you bring another demonstrative with you?
Yes.
And can you describe to the jury how the evidence is collected in order for you to test it?
So in this instance, for example, a kit, when a kit is submitted, this kit is an envelope typically, and inside there are typically 2 or maybe 4 of these things called a sampling device or a stub. And what I am testing is this round disc on the inside. I can pull it off and place that in the instrument. That's what I'm testing. And this is a double-sided carbon sticky tape. And so it can be placed, it can be dabbed on the hands or a surface or clothing. And so what I'm testing is that round disc. And I use a scanning electron microscope with an energy dispersive X-ray detector to do that.
And what are you looking for in the in that device?
I'm looking for the presence of particles that contain lead, barium, and antimony.
And did you perform a report after your testing in this case?
Yes, I did.
One moment. I'm showing you what I've just marked as State's Exhibit 49. Can you tell the jury what that is?
This is the report that I created for this case.
And so you did how many different tests on how many different people in this case?
There were 5 kits for 5 different people.
And did you test a kit from Oscar Martinez?
Yes.
And did you come to any conclusions after your testing?
So there were 6 microscopic particles containing lead, barium, and antimony, and 1 microscopic particle containing lead and antimony that were detected on the right hand of Officer Martinez. And there were 6 microscopic particles containing lead, barium, and antimony, 1 microscopic particle containing barium and antimony, 1 microscopic particle containing lead and antimony, and 1 microscopic particle containing lead and barium that were detected on the left hand of Officer Martinez. And so based on the morphology and the elemental composition of these particles, Officer Martinez may have discharged a firearm, handled the discharged firearm, or was in close proximity to a discharging firearm.
And so that's your scientific conclusion after testing the gunshot residue tests.
Yes.
Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 49.
No objection, Your Honor, to
All right.
State's Exhibit 49.
State's Exhibit number 49 is admitted without objection.
Can I publish this, Your Honor?
Yes.
So how many of these reports have you done in your career?
For GSR or just in general between drugs and primary gunshot residue?
For GSR.
I would say at least a couple hundred.
Okay, and so this is this the standard format that they're usually in?
Yes.
Okay. And so this is your conclusion as to Oscar, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And did you also come to conclusions based on your analysis of the gunshot residue test on the Christopher Mejia?
Yes.
And what was that conclusion?
There was 1 microscopic particle containing lead, barium, and antimony that was detected on the left hand of Christopher Mejia, and there were no microscopic particles containing any combination of lead, barium, or antimony on the right hand of Christopher Mejia. So based on the morphology and elemental composition of this particle, Christopher Mejia may have discharged a firearm, handled a discharged firearm, or was in close proximity to a discharging firearm.
And did you examine a kit that came from Juan Mejia in this case?
Yes, I did.
And what did you determine based on examining that kit?
There were 2 microscopic particles containing lead, barium, and antimony that were detected on the right hand of Juan Mejia, and there were 3 microscopic particles containing lead, barium, and antimony, and 1 microscopic particle containing lead and barium that were detected on the left hand of Juan Mejia. And so based on the morphology and elemental composition of these particles, Juan Mejia may have discharged a firearm, handled a discharged firearm, or was in close proximity to a discharging firearm.
And what about Jeremy Martinez? Did you examine gunshot residue kit that came from Jeremy Martinez?
Yes.
And what were your conclusions in regards to Jeremy Martinez?
There was 1 microscopic particle containing lead, barium, and antimony that were detected on the right hand of Jeremy Martinez, and 1 microscopic particle containing lead, barium, and antimony that was detected on the left hand of Jeremy Martinez. And so based on the morphology and elemental composition of these particles, Jeremy Martinez may have discharged a firearm, handled a discharged firearm, or was in close proximity to a discharging firearm.
And on the last kit, what about on Joshua Mejia? Did you examine a sample from Joshua Mejia?
Yes.
And what was your conclusion on Joshua?
There were 3 microscopic particles containing lead, barium, and antimony that were detected on the left hand of Joshua Mejia, and there were no microscopic particles containing any combination of lead, barium, or antimony that were detected on the right hand of Joshua Mejia. So based on the morphology and elemental composition of these particles, Joshua Mejia may have discharged a firearm, handled the discharged firearm, or was in close proximity to a discharging firearm.
And I just want to show you, so these are already in evidence. And it's similar to that demonstrative, the sampling device that you brought. But how do you know when you get one of these and you're testifying now, how do you know that these are the GSR kits that you tested? What do you look for?
I look for my markings that I make on items of evidence such as the CIL number, which is the criminal investigation laboratory number, item number, date, and my initials.
So I'm showing you what's been marked as and admitted as State's Exhibit 7. And can you tell us what is that?
So this includes both the outer container as well as the primary gunshot residue kit that was tested for my item 1-2.
And is there a CIL number on that documentation?
On the item of evidence?
Yes, sir.
Yes, on both envelopes.
And does that number match the number on your report?
Yes.
And what is that number?
The CIL number, or criminal investigation laboratory number, is 22-01166.
So is it your testimony that these are the kits that you tested as part of this case?
Yes.
Yeah. So your conclusion is, in this case, is sort of broad, right?
Yes.
Can you just remind the jury what your conclusion is as to about Oscar Martinez?
So based on the particles, based on the morphology and elemental composition of the particles, for Oscar Martinez, he may have discharged a firearm, handled a discharged firearm, or was in close proximity to a discharging firearm.
That's the witness, Your Honor.
Defense,
Proceed, Your Honor.
yes.
Ms. Shapey, excuse me, Ms. Shapey. Let's talk a little bit about gunshot residue. So we're talking about microscopic particles that come from essentially the gunpowder when a firearm is discharged, correct?
They come from the primer cap.
The
in the
primer
primer.
Okay. The primer cap is, I guess the gunshot, the gunpowder that's ignited, right, from the primer cap?
So the primer cap contains the metals in the shock sensitive chemicals that when they are hit and impacted cause an explosion, which then causes the heat and pressure to build up for the bullet to travel down the barrel.
Okay, gotcha. Now, you said LeBron James, powder in the air, makes sense. So gunshot residue doesn't just necessarily land on hands, it can land on arms or hair or face or body, because when a gun is shot, you have that, burst of lead, barium, and antimony, correct? That goes into the air.
Correct. They can land on any vicinity.
Okay, very well. And you use the phrase, may have discharged a firearm, handled a discharged firearm, or was in close proximity to a discharging firearm. Does having one microscopic particle or 3 or 6, is that definitive to show that a person fired a weapon?
So the number does not change the conclusion. So one microscopic particle that contains lead, barium, or antimony or combination, I would have the same conclusion as if, say, 6.
Okay, so it kind of makes no difference regardless if it's 1 or 6.
Correct.
Okay. And the reason for that is if there's a kind of confined area where there's more than one gunshot, let's say there's a dozen gunshots, you're going to have a lot of lead, barium, and antimony up in the air, correct?
Yes, it's possible.
Okay. And that's why the language of was in close proximity to a discharging firearm is used, correct?
It's one of the reasons that primary gunshot residue could be present on a sample.
Okay. For example, if I'm in the driver's seat of a vehicle and I discharge a firearm in this direction towards the passenger seat, Mr. Wilkins is here, sitting in the passenger seat. If I fire a firearm here, there could be microscopic particles that eventually land on him, correct?
Yes, that's possible.
And if a GSR test is done on him, they could be detected on his hand. And typically GSR tests are done only on the hands, correct?
That's typically what is performed, and it is possible to detect it.
Okay, so if in this hypothetical, if he has one particle of lead, barium, or antimony on his hand, that doesn't necessarily mean he fired a weapon.
That is correct. The three statements are the main reasons why GSR could be present. I cannot distinguish which of the three.
But it would make sense if I fired a weapon right here, he's 2.5, 3 feet away from me, that there might be some GSR on him, correct?
Yes, that's one of the possibilities.
Okay. Also, let's talk about transference or transmittal of that type of GSR. Can you give the jury an example of how somebody can transfer GSR from one person to another?
Yes, so there's different types of transfer. So primary transfer is from the firearm or to the person or to the surface. Secondary transfer is, say, someone touches a doorknob that has GSR on them, and then someone then comes and touches that same doorknob. It's possible to then transfer GSR to their hands.
Okay. Another hypothetical for you. Let's say there's a person who discharges a weapon. Okay, we have no doubt about him discharging a weapon. And then that person, I come up to that person and I touch them. I grab them. I try to shake them because maybe they're shot and dead at that point. Okay. Can I get the GSR from that weapon that was fired by that person onto my hands?
So just to clarify, you mean from so someone touches the shooter?
Yes.
It's possible.
Let me get a little bit more specific. Let's say there's a person, okay, shoots a firearm. That's well documented. He shoots a firearm, but he's shot by another person, falls to the ground, dies. Okay. And then I go to that person and I try to shake him, awaken him, move him, something like that. Is it possible that I could get that GSR from that discharged weapon onto my body?
From the weapon or from the person?
From the person.
It's possible.
Okay. And in your training experience, and I guess maybe studies, correct me if I'm wrong, when we talk about having one particle or 6 particles, no matter what the number is, that is not definitive to show that a person discharged a firearm.
Again, that is one of the three one of the three main possibilities.
Because you did a 5 analysis of 5 gunshot residue tests, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And all of them had some form of GSR, correct?
Correct.
And if we're talking about, I'm going to give you a hypothetical. You tell me if you can answer it, okay? If we're talking about 5 individuals in either inside a Chevy Suburban or just outside a Chevy Suburban, and there's 12 shots fired, a lot of GSR in the air, like the LeBron powder you're talking about, is it possible that a person can not fire a gun yet have GSR on them?
Yes, that's possible. And there's different environmental factors that can come into play. For example, wind or a fan being on, like your example, indoor versus outdoor, that can also vary.
Okay. And let's say I do fire a firearm and I fire a firearm and then I, move my hands or I touch a door, or can I remove those microscopic particles off my hand by just touching my clothes or touching some other item, maybe a car door or something?
Yes, you can lose GSR particles. You can, by everyday movement, as well as washing your hands can also be a way to lose GSR particles.
Okay. Did you ever do an analysis of a GSR test involving a Jerry Ortiz?
Is that part of this case?
It would, well, I'm just asking yes or no. Because right now I don't see it on your report, correct?
Correct. If it wasn't submitted, then I did not perform analysis on it.
Thank you. You said you work with Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office and they don't perform primer GSR analysis. Why is that?
I'm not entirely sure of the reason why they do not perform it.
Okay, it doesn't have anything to do with the science involved, correct? Like they reject GSR analysis?
No,
Nothing like that.
no.
Okay, fair enough. Um. Is there any? Does having lead or barium or antimony, all three versus one make any difference in your analysis?
No, I mean, it's any combination, and so based on these components and their morphology and their size and their composition, that is what I can use to distinguish if it's a gun, like if it's a primer gunshot residue particle.
And when did you perform this test? I'm sorry, I know, May 17th of 2022, you completed your analysis.
That is when the report was released, yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. I'll pass the witness.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused?
Excuse for the state, Your Honor.
She is.
All right, thank you. You may
Thank you.
step down. State, call your next witness.
State calls Edson Grimaldo, Your Honor.
All right, and is this the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So if I can have the interpreter come forward, please. Hello.
Afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. I'm just going to swear you in and then they're going to bring the witness in and it'll give you a chance to set up. All right, if you can raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm you will faithfully translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English, so help you God?
I do, Your
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Honor. Carmelita Dragon Sáenz.
All right, thank you. And do you, oh, she has her, I think she's going to use headphones with him. Ah, probably so.
I know she's gonna be very.
Okay, we will find out. Maybe so. Do you have I think she's gonna be standing next to him, so it may be okay. We'll cross, we'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, while she sets up, I'm going to give you some instructions. So listen to my instructions very clearly as it relates to the interpreter in this case. To ensure that the jury, the court, and the parties are all receiving the same testimony, whenever a party or a witness does not speak English, the services of an interpreter are employed. You are instructed that you, as the jury, are to base your deliberations on the questions as they came from the attorneys in the English language and the responses from the witness as they came from the interpreter in the English language. Does everyone understand? So what that means too is that if there's anyone who speaks Spanish, you are to rely on the interpreter's interpretation of what is being said, not your own. Does everyone understand? All right. Are you ready to proceed?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. State, call your next witness.
State calls Edson Grimaldo, Your Honor.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
All right, you may lower your hand. State.
Good afternoon, Mr. Grimaldo. Nice to see you again. My name is Hank Wilkins. We've met before, right? And she needs the court reporter just needs you to answer out loud, just verbally, because the court reporter is taking everything down.
No lo entiendo.
¿me escucha?
Sí. Perdón.
Sorry.
Hey, no worries.
No se preocupe.
So we've met before. We met last week, right?
Ajá.
Ajá.
Ah, sí.
Yes,
So where did you live on February 21st, 2022? What was your address?
826 Mariposa.
826 Mariposa.
You lived on Mariposa Street?
Sí.
Yes,
And did you have security cameras on your house at that time?
Así es.
That's
Sí.
right, yes.
And I'm going to show you a couple of items here. Can you tell me, do you recognize States Exhibit number 50?
Sí.
Yes,
And how do you recognize it?
Mis iniciales.
by my initials,
And did you date it?
Sí.
yes,
And so have you watched this?
Sí.
yes.
And can you tell the jury what's on this?
Pues se captó la. Perdón, estoy un poco nervioso. Nunca
Ah.
había estado así.
I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, I had never been like this.
Pero se captó lo sucedido de ese día, los hechos.
What happened that day, the facts were captured on there.
And do you recognize States Exhibit 51?
Sí,
Yes,
And how do you know you've seen this?
por mis iniciales.
by my
Y la fecha.
initials.
Okay, and so are both States Exhibit 50 and 51 from your surveillance cameras from back in February of 2022?
Sí,
Yes,
And you've watched these videos?
sí,
yes,
And these are fair and accurate copies of those surveillance cameras that were on your house back then?
sí.
yes.
And as far, they haven't been altered in any way?
No.
No,
Okay. Your Honor, I offer States Exhibit 50 and 51.
No, no objection, Your Honor, to States Exhibits 50 and 51.
All right, States Exhibit 50 and 51 are admitted without objection.
So, Mr. Grimaldo, you met with me last week, right?
yes,
And I showed you one of these videos, right?
Sí,
yes,
And you had already given that to the police, right?
sí,
yes,
But then you showed me another video from your surveillance camera, right?
sí.
yes.
And that was one that we didn't have before.
No.
No,
And, Your Honor, do I have permission to publish these videos?
Yes.
So does this look like your security camera footage?
Así es.
that's right.
And where was this camera on your house?
Es la tercera cámara por el lado de la cochera.
The camera on the side of the carport.
And so for purposes of the record, we're at 03/39/18. And we've zoomed in a little bit, Mr. Grimaldo. What are we seeing here? What are we zoomed in on here?
O en el bote de enfrente de basura, ahí se ve que arrojan algo.
On the trash can in front, you can see they threw something in there.
Okay. Are we seeing that? That's what we're seeing right now, right?
Sí, exacto.
Yes, exactly.
And so this is, when you came to meet with me last week, I showed you this video, right?
Así es.
Yes, that's right.
And then did you show me a different video from a different surveillance camera?
Sí.
Yes.
But I'm publishing States Exhibit 50 for purposes of the record. So for purposes of the record, we're zooming back out. And this is States Exhibit 51. And so is that the video that you gave us, me and Daniel, last week?
Sí, así es.
Yes, that's right.
And where was that footage from? Where was that camera located on your house?
En la parte de la entrada de mi hogar tenía 4 cámaras y esa es la frontal.
At the
Yes,
entrance of to my home, I had 4 cameras and that's the front one.
That's the front, on your front of your house.
Así es.
That's right.
That's the witness, Your Honor.
Defense?
Mr. Grimaldo, my name is Michael De Leon. I represent Oscar Martinez. You don't know Oscar Martinez, do you?
No.
No.
Okay. Your cameras, do they record sound?
No recuerdo
I don't recall.
porque lo que pasa que ahí yo vivía, pero yo rentaba. Cuando pasó eso, pues sí, y ahorita ya tengo meses que ya no vivo.
What happened, I don't recall. What happens is when I lived there, I rented, but it's been months since I've lived there.
When did you discover this latest video? A long time ago or just recently?
Recientemente.
Recently.
Oh, okay. How did that come about?
O porque las cámaras están 24 horas.
Oh, because the cameras are on 24 hours.
Okay. And did you find that video near the dumpster when the DA's office called you or after?
¿Perdón?
Excuse me?
That second video we just saw, okay? Did you discover that? It looks like evidence of a shooting. When did you find that?
No, pues es que yo estaba viendo todo.
No, it's just that I was seeing everything.
Okay, and when were you looking for that? Recently?
O no, o sea, en el instante yo ya los tenía.
No, I had them instantly.
Ujú.
All right, no further witness, no further questions, pass the witness.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused?
Excuse from the state, Your Honor.
He is, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
May I be excused as well?
Yes, thank you very much. Do you need me to sign anything? All right, thank you. State, call your next witness.
State calls Jerry Ortiz.
And parties, can you approach briefly, please? So, ladies and gentlemen, both sides have told me we authorize, I mean, you can mute us.